I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm pissed off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
Welcome back to the Cheeky Crypto Podcast with your hosts, Mike and JB. Many thanks for listening in, liking, and subscribing. If you haven't done so, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button and turn on all those little notifications. We really do appreciate it. If you haven't joined the Discord or Patreon, link is in the description down below. A fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. Guarantee you won't be disappointed, and most importantly, it's absolutely free to join. Now, let's get into some crypto and macro talk today, Mr. JB. How you doing, brother?
Very good. Thank you very much. Had a good couple of days staring at the charts. Some exciting moves have happened, guys. I hope you've all been safe. How the hell are you, Mike?
Hey, man, I'm good. Don't lie. You really haven't been staring at charts. You've been staring at Call of Duty for the last 2 days.
I've been getting my ass whipped at Call of Duty, and Mike's been carrying us.
Hey, you know, I love some Call of Duty. In fact, if anybody that's listening to this is in the Discord and you guys play Call of Duty, specifically Warzone, please give me and JB a shout, because we've been playing quite a bit, and obviously we play super late at night, but hey, it's been fun. So anyways, yeah, big morning this morning for some reason on CNBC. They had a business roundtable in the US, and they had all the big CEOs. Basically, they had airline industries. I think Exxon CEO was on there also, because basically they're just an overall global chit chat, right? Like airlines basically saying travel is insane right now. And it's funny because all the narrative that we hear, JB, is, you know, recession. And then all these CEOs are coming on saying everybody's spending their money. So there is some tip for that tat, though, I think. What do you guys hear where you're at? Like, what do you guys hear on the news as far as a recession is concerned and et cetera?
It's brushed over lightly. They don't want, it's kind of the same as America. They don't want to talk about being in a recession. We know we are in one, but they never publicly say, look, this is where we are. We're in a recession. There's been some chatter on TV. There's a guy that's quite big over here. You'll have no idea who he is. He's called Jeremy Vine. He recapped it, I think it was yesterday or the day before, on morning television, about how 18-year-olds back in yesteryear could afford a mortgage at £51,000 when the average wage was £11,500. Now the average wage is £18,000, whereas the average mortgage price is £225,000. So it's went from 4.4 times your wage to 14 times your wage. So if that doesn't tell you you're in a stickiest position, what does?
Yeah, I think that's more so guided towards the housing industry and the, you know, mortgage rates and things like that. I'm talking about like flights and food, and you know, we know mortgages are going to go up because the feds continue to drive the interest rates up. Basically, like, we know that's going to happen, right? And so I think that's the start of what's to come as far as the recession is concerned. Housing prices go up, everything goes up, and then people start getting laid off. So what was interesting is I was listening to JP Morgan, CEO, this morning, and I'm going to tie it back into crypto eventually, but basically he was saying that in the US, the US consumer has roughly $1 trillion of savings. Okay. And I guess he's taken that based off JP Morgan, they're a bank. And he said within 3 to 6 months, that will probably be wiped out. But it will be wiped out primarily because of inflation. People are spending right now, right? So there's money still in savings, but people are spending, and inflation. Dude, I finally have been kind of paying attention a little bit to how much I spend on an everyday basis, just a little bit, just to see. And what I used to go to, I get breakfast at Chick-fil-A. Everybody knows that. I go and get chicken biscuits, right? 6 months ago, I could go and get my same meal for roughly probably, I don't know, $10. This morning, it was $14. And so it's already gone up just in, you know, that little time. So Diet Cokes, for instance, like, I hate to bring that up, but like a single Diet Coke I could go to the store and I could buy it for $1.29. This morning, I bought them for $1.89. So you're seeing that it's coming up, it's creeping up on everyone. But it was interesting to hear from Jamie Dimon, the CEO and chairman of JP Morgan, just his like overall mindset on a recession. Himself, the Walmart CEO, everyone assumes in the next 3 to 6 months, we will hit a recession, right? So what's your take on that, JB? I know you guys are not in the States, but as far as we've talked about it before, consumer products, right? Food, energy costs. They did a big energy segment this morning on CNBC talking about Europe and basically like you guys are screwed in the winter, essentially. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're not in the States, but I would like to say we are in a state. We are not in a good place. We see it. Food shopping's going up. I covered it the other podcast there. That like my average, because it's just me and my wife, my average weekly food shop in one store would be £40. It's now roughly £51. So there's a jump there. You add that up every week, you know, we're spending more money, but you see that in every store we go to. On the forecourts where we get our petrol or our diesel, the guys that are charging electric cars, the prices of all that's going up. So all of this combined is tying into the government getting the money back. You can see that we do still have our savings. We spoke about it with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. People are still willing to spend money on assets that they do not need. This then ties you back into the fact we're not in a recession yet. Once this all starts to deplete and people don't have that money, that's when we officially start a recession. And we haven't felt that yet. The spending is still going on.
Yeah, there's still layoffs happening. You know, this morning they were talking about GameStop was laying off. And then there was another company yesterday that announced that they were starting to layoffs. Look, the layoffs are started, right? And I think it was a couple of weeks ago that Meta started laying people off. Amazon. So the big dogs had started laying off, which then transfers down to the little ones, littler companies, you know, such as a GameStop, for instance, that, you know, now they're starting to lay off people too. So I don't think I've felt it here where I live as far as layoffs are concerned. And I don't think you're going to. I think it's on a larger scale. You might, you know, if you're in the corporate industry, you might hear about it a little bit more, but I don't. But I think we're in for a wild 6 to 12 months. I do think stocks will bottom out. I do think Bitcoin will bottom out eventually. Eventually, it'll just get to a point where people just don't want to sell anymore. But I do think the pain of everyday living is coming, especially for those that just don't make a ton of money, right? Like, I think that's going to be the problem. Buying milk, you know, do you go buy your kid this new coloring book or do you buy milk, right? Like, I think that's what it's going to come down to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem is that the families that don't earn enough money are the ones that are going to feel it the most. And it's just the most horrible thing to hear. You know, the single mums, the families that don't have big incomes, that maybe have issues for whatever reason, doesn't matter. They are the ones that are going to feel it the worst. And unfortunately, it's not until they do feel it, then we may start to see a reversal of what's going on. But yeah, you're totally right there. It's the families that don't earn the big wages that that will feel it the worst.
Yeah, and tying this back into crypto, right? Like we do a crypto podcast. So JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, came out and said, here, I'm going to read it for verbatim. Crypto is a complete sideshow. You guys spend too much time on it, talking about the CNBC commentators. And he says, crypto is like pet rocks. It's basically how he described crypto and its tokenomics, right? But here's the interesting thing. There's a guy on Twitter named the Wolf of All Streets. Here's what he had to say. Jamie Dimon says crypto is a sideshow that the media spends too much time on. While JP Morgan offers more crypto services to clients, plans a crypto wallet, and utilizes their own blockchain for payments, etc. Now, he follows with that. Watch what they do, not what they say. And it's interesting that he brings that up because I think Nick and Chris have been saying that all along, right? Watch what they do, not what they say. Watch what the whales do. Watch what the Kraken do. If you guys are following Nick and Chris on Twitch, they cover it every single morning, right? We're watching what the big dogs do with their money. We're not watching what they say, right? We got to watch the actions of these people. JB, what's your take on that?
I'd like to know how much crypto he holds. The guy who said crypto is like pet rocks. You're deluded if this guy doesn't have crypto. He wants to jump back in, nice and low. Once he's spread the FUD that crypto is nothing, it's never going to become nothing, he'll scoop up a huge bag and ride it all the way up.
Yeah, so I'm sure. Okay, so just in fairness, since I'm sure Jamie Dimon watches our podcast, right? I just want to make sure I clear up. He said he is bullish on blockchain technology. Now, I think he's more so geared towards, I think his comments from what he said was basically towards, there's 22,000 freaking cryptocurrencies, right? So I'm sure it's geared more towards like coins that don't have any utility. Things not like Cardano, right? More so like the airplane went down Inu, right?
Yeah.
Like those types of coins is probably more so what he's referring to. I'm sure they hold Bitcoin. I'm sure Jamie Dimon holds Bitcoin. He's never going to tell anybody that he owns it. But yeah, there was another article that I wanted to bring up that I have now lost. So bear with me 1 second. That was talking about Goldman Sachs. Oh, of course I've lost it. Oh, here it is. Goldman Sachs. Basically, there's on CoinDesk came up as first mover America's Goldman to spend big on crypto post FTX. So basically, it says investment bank Goldman Sachs is looking to spend tens of millions of dollars on crypto firms whose valuations have been hit after the implosion of crypto exchange FTX. Goldman sees a need for trustworthy and established players in the crypto market. This is quote unquote, we do see some really interesting opportunities priced much more sensibly, end quote. Matthew McDermott, Goldman's head of digital assets, told Reuters. Do I say that right? I bet I don't say that right.
Yeah, Reuters.
Okay. So now JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, both bringing up the conversation about crypto. So JP, what's your take? Obviously this is going to lead into a much bigger topic, which if you want to go ahead and get into it now with the Bank of England and regulations that is coming out of y'all's neck of the woods. Do you want to go ahead and get into that now since we're covering banks?
Yeah. I'll quickly touch on Goldman Sachs. Obviously, they do see the opportunity here for crypto, quite rightly so. Anyone that's involved with money only wants one thing: more money. Exactly. So they invest in something that's, in their eyes, is not dying out. That's the wrong terminology, but is a relatively low price to where it should be. All that's going to happen there is they'll invest into it, they'll develop it more, they'll probably develop it better, and fundamentally they'll make more money. That's all they're interested in doing here. So I'm happy that Goldman Sachs are involved here. I'm happy JP Morgan are talking about it. You've got two massive players talking crypto. It's exactly what we want to see in this space. Moving on, we are talking about crypto being regulated in the United Kingdom. Good news, I think. Very good news. Now, this all goes back to February this year. So at the time, Rishi Sunak was the Chancellor. He is now our Prime Minister here. And they are talking about effective regulations that would help Britain become the global hub for crypto asset technology and would encourage the businesses of tomorrow to invest and scale up on the UK shores. This is all good. This was back in February. Excuse me. Now, on December 5th, this was again through Reuters. There was another statement released, and it is now that the Britain's Treasury is finalising plans for a package to regulate the cryptocurrency industry, including limits on foreign companies selling into the UK and restrictions on advertising. They also touched that the package will give the FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, broader powers to regulate the sector, including how they monitor how firms operate and advertise their products. There will also be restrictions on companies selling into the British market from overseas, as well as plans for how crypto firms can be wound down, leading on from what happened with FTX.
So is the FCA similar to the SEC?
Essentially, that's who governs most things money in the UK. So the likes of know your client, anti-money laundering, all that runs through the FCA.
So the FCA, so United Kingdom has essentially said the FCA is going to be the ones that oversee regulations of crypto. Is that correct?
Well, that's a fantastic segue, because that was my next thing I was going to touch on. Is who's going to regulate it? And in 2018, there was a joint task force set up. So it was the FCA, which is independent bodies regulating the markets, the Treasury, which is obviously the government, and the Bank of England.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, the Bank of England being involved with crypto, this is what we want to see. The Bank of England is obviously the big power over here in the UK. We want to see them getting involved in crypto.
So when you say regulating, I know you're not the one that wrote the article and did the article, but is there a way for you to expand on what you mean by regulating? Did they go into, in the article itself, did they go into in-depth? I'm just curious because obviously the States is trying its best to get into that too. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they're likely to prior authorize issuers to operate capital and liquidity requirements. They'll also have to audit and I don't know how best to phrase this so it's accurate. They've basically got to show they have sufficient reserves held in high liquidity assets. They'll have to prove they have KYC, know your customer, AML, which is anti-money laundering requirements. Yeah, there's going to be a lot they have to have here so they can then operate out with the UK. And I think there's a figure was also released. It's like 80% or 85% of 85% it is of firms that applied to be regulated in the UK failed the FCA's anti-money laundering tests. So It shows they are going to be very strict with who they allow to do dealings within the UK.
Yeah. Yeah. The UK, I think VeChain just moved into the Europe too. Like it's Europe is becoming more of a hub for some of these businesses that operate in the crypto space. Yep.
And then that's another segue. Which
just cut me off. Just cut me off. Don't even need.
No, it's fine. It was a great segue because the last part I had to cover here was why they want to be involved here. And the United Kingdom is the leading decentralized finance spot in Europe, or one of the leading, in terms of adoption. Investors poured 170 billion into DeFi platforms between June 2020 and July 2021. And that was the most in Europe through that period. So obviously in that time, UK were still a part of Europe. We're now technically out of Europe, but it doesn't feel like it. So yeah, we're going to see big things coming off the back of this.
Yeah, I think the only positive news that could come out of the FTX downfall is regulation. I think that's going to be maybe it was the goal all along, right? Was for FTX to just crash and burn, and then that would just push everybody to do what they needed to do. Obviously, there's hearings going on here in the States. December 13th is a hearing. Maxine, is it Maxine Walters, I think, is the one that's overseeing that, and has on Twitter specifically tweeted at SBF that he should probably be there for a hearing. Now, whether or not that is a segue into cuffing that bastard, putting some cuffs on him, I'm not sure, but he said he's open to testifying and coming to the States. So I don't know what the hell he'd be testifying for. Like all of this shit is just mind blowing to me. The fact that he's still not arrested is crazy to me, but we'll get into that another time. I think this is more so regulation talk. I think the States just has to figure out who the hell is going to regulate it, who's going to oversee all of it. I feel like the different sectors, the SEC and all of the other ones, I can't ever remember. There's too many letters, right?
Yeah.
Like I just can't remember them. I need like a notepad in front of me or something. We're still trying to decide who the hell is going to do that, right? But I think that's great for Europe. I think it's insane that Bank of England is involved with the whole regulatory side of things. It just shows big things. Maybe Europe does beat everybody to the punch, and maybe they're the first ones to actually regulate it correctly, and maybe they'll be the guinea pigs, right, for everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I think is quite key here is the UK doesn't see crypto as a currency. It doesn't see it as a commodity. So it's going to be regulating the market, in a different way. So the likes of your derivatives, they will be regulated the same way as the market and financial instrument directives are regulated. So like stock trading, it have to comply to the same format. To an extent, it will be different because it's not actually classed as a currency. Excuse me again. It's going to be obviously under the e-money regulations, but They've obviously sat and thought about it. We knew that Rishi Sunak, our now Prime Minister, was big on crypto. He said it a long time back. He wants the UK, I think in specific London, to be the hub for crypto in the UK. Quite frankly, it'll likely be the hub for crypto in Europe. We'd like to see that happen as well. But yeah, I do think big things are going to come off the back of this.
Is the article that you found, where was that? That was from who was that from?
I've dissected about 6 different articles.
Oh, okay. Because I was looking through CoinDesk just now, and there was something that came out this morning at like 7:45, saying UK financial regulator seeks comments on ad approval process that covers crypto. Only companies with FCA permission will be able to approve promotional material, and crypto firms will be hit once the Financial Services and Markets Bill becomes law. And it goes into a much deeper dive into, what that meant and whatever. That's on CoinDesk for any of you guys.
I did have a good look through the CoinDesk one as well. Obviously, the FT, I took quite a lot from there, and obviously Reuters, they issued their own article on it as well. So it's just all these things. It's good to look at all these different sites, take what you can take from it, and get the best understanding you can. I've kind of dissected, I'm sure it was around 6 articles, and I've pieced together my understanding of how it is going to work. It may be different, but highly unlikely. This is the way they have explained it in all the articles is the most likely way we're going to see crypto regulated in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, let's hope by 2024, all of this stuff is regulated, everybody's safe, and all the big institutions start throwing their money at this stuff, and then we can all actually be off to the races and making money, which now brings me back into another topic that you and I wanted to discuss, was a specific tweet that one of our Discord members found of someone that had longed a specific coin and got absolutely wrecked. For how much, JB?
Yeah, this is quite disgusting. So the guy longed BNX against BNX paired up with USDT, a 5x long. He entered at $128.99. He tried to long this. It dropped to $86.87. So that's negative 242.83%. Now the figure is horrible. The figure is $185,762.32. Oh, USDT, sorry. The guy lost $185,000 on a trade. Why? Why, Mike? Why has he lost this much money?
Oh, he's bored.
No, he had no stop loss.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, he had no stop loss. Oh, yeah, that's stupid.
Stupid. This is unsafe.
Look, I don't trade. So I just, it's interesting. You brought this article up to me beforehand, and there was a couple guys in the Discord this morning that were thinking about longing ADA. And I was like, yes. Which part of any of the TA or anything would make anyone right now want to look? If you're risky, right? And everything that we just covered as far as risk stuff, like with recessions coming, why you would risk your own capital right now. If you really feel like you're ready to long and short things, by all means, do you. We're not financial advisors, but we're definitely here to try to help people not get screwed, kind of like this guy just did, right? It sounded like maybe he got bored, right? And then all of a sudden he gets wrecked for 185 grand. So maybe the guy has a lot of money to lose, which is fine. But I think this just goes down to the point, JB, that we always are covering right now. And Chris has been hammering away at this, is like, right now it should be conserving capital, and granted, I'm sure some of the guys that are in the Discord, they're only trading money that they can afford to lose. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. We do expect more downside, and then there will be a big swing opportunity. At that moment, that's when I think maybe you could long projects like ADA and things like that. So for this guy to get wrecked, 185 grand, sucks for him. Sorry to hear, bro. But yeah, I'm staying out of the market.
What we need to drill home here is risk management, right? If you are going to trade, maybe he looked at the 1 hour chart and seen there was room on the stochastic RSI to move up, whatever, right? But if you've got improper risk management, you're not in the market to trade, you're in the market to lose money. That's the short and sweet of it. If you don't have risk management, you're going to lose money. You have a stop loss. Granted, you might still lose money, but you're not going to lose bloody $185,000. You may lose a portion, but you'll never be hit as hard as that. So drill this into your head. No risk management. don't trade. Don't do it. There's no point
just
losing
think
all this money over something silly.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're just in a difficult space where any news article could come out and completely reverse any structures that could be present. The crypto market as a whole is not big enough financially right now for little guys like us, right? Like a whale could come in. Dude, I move the market on some small projects, and I it's very little money, but I can see my wicks, right? So if I could see my stuff on small coins, any news can change at any time. The structures, the RSIs, the stock RSIs, everything, trend lines, patterns, whatever the hell you're looking at, it could go wrong based off one news article that comes out. So you just got to be careful. Make sure you have stop losses, all of that. Yes.
The 3 Gs is one thing just to keep in your head right now. Gemini, Genesis, Grayscale. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. We don't have dates. We don't have times when that's going to happen. You could just enter in a long position, forget to do a stop loss. If these 3 come out in a negative way, that market's going downtown, Julie Brown.
Yeah, look, I think trading right now is a way for you to make money in this boring time. But please, for the love of God, do not trade because you're bored. Go do something else. Go kick the fucking soccer ball. Go do something else. Like, you don't need to trade, right? Like, I catch myself all the time looking at stuff and looking at the price, and the price is the same that it's been fucking 3 weeks ago. So, sorry for cursing, but it's just, it is what it is. We're in a bear market. It's going to continue until the global economic shit decides to turn around. We're going to continue to trade sideways, or we're going to go down. Yeah.
If you're bored, you don't want to trade, jump on Call of Duty with your boys.
Or jump into the Discord, chat crypto. I'm excited because I actually am part of the inaugural Elliott Wave Theory training course that Nick has so graciously given us. Pretty excited about it. I've only been through a couple things. Obviously, I haven't had a lot of time, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks I can go through it. But so far, so good. I mean, it's video and explanations going on during that. My English today is horrible. Like, I am the worst. I don't know if it's because it's early morning. Maybe I'm better in the afternoon, but I cannot speak today. This is horrible. But yeah, I'm excited for the course. 50 people in the beta course. We're kind of giving our feedback, taking a look at it. But seems great. Seems great so far.
Yeah, back on that, there has been really good feedback. I've read through a lot of comments. Obviously, we get to see the channel that the guys are talking in. Now, the charts that they're getting demonstrated on, the diagrams have been preset in the course. Obviously, there are lots of feedback coming back. The guys on the course are talking between each other, like, oh, what do you make of this part? What do you make of this? How do you see this working out? So I think it's been very, very productive. Everyone's helping each other out, understand the course. Obviously, Nick is jumping in. I think Festoon's been jumping in as well, talking to guys. So it's been very productive, and I think good things are going to come out of this course being released.
Yeah, I think it's great. Look, we have a general side of the Discord that's free. And I know we always say it's free to join. It is free to join, right? But there is a Patreon side that, I think it's $12 a month. Okay. In that group, that members area, that's where you have the potential to get involved with the Elliott Wave Theory. Look, $12 a month, you can cancel whenever the hell you want, but it's definitely worth its weight in gold. TA, you can request TA, you can request all kinds of things. I mean, I just think it's a great opportunity for people, especially right now, bear market, you're bored, get into a Discord, especially ours, where we're here to protect people, not hurt people, definitely not lie to people either, because there are some Discords out there that are a little shady. We'll use that word, shady. And I would steer clear from if I were you guys.
One massive thing you did miss out there is the project reviews. I've been making my way through a few project reviews that Chris writes up. By the way, fantastic. There's some 8.5, some 9 out of 10s, a couple of 0.5 out of 10s. But even these ones that are marked so lowly, I've found myself going in and reading them as to why they're marked down so lowly, to get Chris's understanding of how these projects are working, the forecast for these projects, the fundamentals behind them, the teams, obviously the ones that don't look good, the ones that do look good, and it's helping me out in projects that I'm quite bullish on as well. There's a couple I would like to see come out, but yeah, the Discord is very good to be a part of. The Patreon, the traders tier, if you really want to get into the traders tier, we're not far away from a bull market. The traders tier is going to be huge then. It is big now. We do see a lot of trades getting spoken about. Nick's been posting up some shorts that have came out recently. So yeah, the Discord has been popping recently, and I think it's only going to get busier.
Yeah, over 5,000 members sitting in the Discord. It's great. So look, market's about to open here in the States, 9:30 in the morning. Looks like everything's kind of flat. I think we're definitely waiting for next week with Fed Chair Powell and deciding, is he going to do 50 basis points? Is it going to be 75? Is it going to be 25? I think it'll probably be 50 because that's what's kind of priced in. There is a chance at 75. There's been way too much good news. And in the States right now, good news is bad news for the market. So it's unfortunate, but so we'll have to see what happens next week. I think next week will be a volatile week. I think there's something else that comes out next week. Is it CPI that comes out next week?
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
I think CPI also either comes out the end of this week or comes out the beginning of next week. Plus, you have Fed Chair Powell on Wednesday of next week. So, is that right or is that wrong? I could be wrong.
Yes, CPI is definitely not this week. This week's pretty flat. There's a couple of quarter 3 figures come out on Wednesday, I think.
Oh,
so
unemployment comes out.
Oh, unemployment. I think that's Thursday or Friday this week for USA, but I think CPI maybe next week.
Yeah, a couple other things to keep an eye on, guys. If you're following stocks and you're following crypto, the 10-year and 2-year curve, right? The difference between those two typically signifies whether or not we're in a recession or not. This morning, it hit an all-time high split of 80 basis points. That is the highest split since 1981. And what happened after 1981 was not pretty, right? So please just be careful out there. There's a lot of indicators and a lot of things that we don't see on an everyday basis that if you're not looking at it and you're not looking for it, it's going to catch up to you eventually. So just be careful, save your money as best you can, put it in your bank, put it in cash, put it in a shoebox, do whatever the hell you can, save your money. But I think that's going to wrap up today. We're going to leave you with this though. I want to leave with this because right now where I'm recording, it's 9:30 in the morning. Bitcoin is still at roughly 17,000. So I bet by the time we do our next podcast, I bet you it's still at 17,000.
Yeah, I do. I definitely think it'll be within that range. Listen, guys, I will leave you with the kind of the hot topic of today's podcast, and that is risk management. Please make sure you have risk management if you are going to trade. Seriously volatile market right now. There's a lot of news that can possibly come out. It can come out at any time. As Mike touched on, we have points coming out next week. We don't know what they are. We can predict what they are. They may come out and they may change the market. So please ensure you have proper risk management if you are entering a trade. And I hope you all have a nice day.
Yeah, that's great final thoughts there, Mr. JB. Guys, gals, thank you so much for listening in. Make sure you smash that like, smash the subscribe button, and we will catch you in a couple days.